be this, riddle be that. Before it's too late, deal with your thoughts that carry much weight. Thoughts can keep you in your past, alone and sad, unable to laugh. Time to be your one true self, putting those bad thoughts in the attic's highest shelf. The Alpo Show is in the know. The human spirit experiment starts now.
And welcome to Alpo. Thank you for everybody that's coming in now and everybody that's coming in later. Hope you're having a great day. What is it? Tuesday, second day, and we're all still here. Thank you so much for everyone. Listen, I need you to do me a favor and smash that like button for me. I really need you to do that, and make sure you snap that bell on there so that you can get notified when my shows come out. I'm broadcasting every day now, so please don't miss it. Well, today's going to be just a different day here, because I'm going to be talking about a subject that is just literally blown up, and it's polyamory. And so we're going to talk about that and whether or not that fits here, on whether or not it's real, and what my opinion about it is. And, our Generation Z is, I consider, bringing it more in, probably than any generation. I'm going to go into that a little bit too. So let's talk about polyamory. Let's just pull it up here, and so we can get some meaning. All right. Okay. So we're just going to start here at Wikipedia. All right. So poly means many, and polyamory, which means amor, means love, is the practice of or desire for intimate relationships with more than one partner, with the informed consent of all partners involved. People who identify as polyamorous may believe in open relationships with a conscious management of jealousy and reject the view that sexual and relational exclusivity are prerequisites for deep, committed, long-term loving relationships. Others prefer to restrict their sexual activity to only members of the group, a closed polyamorous relationship, which is usually referred to as polyfidelity. So we know kind of what the definition of it is, and we know the definition of it is. So now, how do we put this in a practice? How is this practice? And also within the concept of having a relationship with Holy Spirit, how does that work? What actually does it mean? So anyway, and everything that we do, whether it is being polyamory, okay, whatever it is we do, what are we supposed to be? An adult. We're supposed to be an adult about it. An adult of our spirit, an adult of our mind, an adult of our thought, and an adult of our emotion, an adult of our action, and our body, our love, our surroundings, our relationships, and the most completeness is the decision. So the decision to be in, um, you know, a polyamorous relationship, which means more than one. Now, one of the things I think that's very important is that we have a conversation about this. Okay, uh, we don't want to, play this role of that we don't know, and keeping our head in the sand. Now, me, I am. I consider myself a holy man. I consider myself held by the Holy Spirit. At the same time, where does wisdom come in on this? And so when we're looking at this, so I'm looking at this like, okay, so first we go to the mind. The mind has to decide what that thought is, which is polyamory, and then what would be the emotion that would come with that within the action of your body by giving love. You see how these things play on every single decision that you make. Okay. And so this is what I want to bring about is an information on what it is, what it means, and why more now today than ever. And one of the reasons why I want to say is the generations now are I would say living in the full moment. Um, Polyamory would be something that's living in the moment, in the full moment of time. And it develops into what would be a truth, the individual person's truth, right? And so I think that because of today, the Generation Z it has a different light than how it was, let's just say, in my generation, or I'm a baby boomer. All right. Now, let me just preface everything here is that to tell you, I'm married, have been married for 6 years. 3 years before that, we were together. And and so I'm married and I'm actually married. So that means I guess there's two. You marry, but then there's also married. So we're married, so we are together and no outside relationships. And we have a very happy relationship. And so I'm very solid on where I'm coming from in terms of who I am. All right. But now, when we get back to polyamory, all right, so now back in my day, we used to just call this cheating without getting caught. Okay. So, you know, now this term is as coming out more than ever. All right. So now the reason why I feel that the Generation Z is that this is more something that is appealing is because they have a certain closeness together. I think I see them as being much more closer together and beyond. All right, so um, people are living together more. Like more people are living together. And if you're seeing some of the shows here as the future goes along, and I really feel for this generation because you have to decide just absolutely where your money's going because it's just so expensive. I mean, literally, it's so expensive now. Um, these young people have to decide whether or not they're going to have an apartment, their own apartment, or have a car. So they may choose to have just the apartment to be on their own, but then they don't have a car. So now they got to do the Uber and everything like that. All right. Or it's the other way around where you rent a room and there's more than one person in the room. Now if this isn't already happening, which I do believe it is, people are now sharing rooms. And so that closeness has been put by financing. Okay? Finances. And that's a big part. Now, also, now every generation coming up always feels like they're smarter than the ones who came back before them. Okay? It's just the way it is. So you Generation Z people, you're no different than anybody. All the other generations in terms of that you thought you were smarter than your parents, so to speak. Okay. Now, the access to social media um, is more prevalent with the generations that you grew up in the middle of it. You're the I could call you the social media boomers, being the first ones who literally were swallowed up by social media. And from henceforward, that's the way it's going to be. Okay. So this is the reason why there's more of closeness. Now, I've been very fortunate that I know men and women of all ages, and I'm an eight-time burner, eight-time Burning Man, and so I was in a huge camp where I met young people. At times I was the oldest one in the camp. I was called the OG, the spirit OG, by the way. So um, if you wanted to know about life, they'd send you to my tent. So they say my tent always filled with young people, okay, who I really want to reach out to and give as much information that I can as possible in dealing with all these new times. And so it literally is bringing this next generation up together, and they're going into their adulthood um, where they're not getting married, okay, can't afford to get married. So it's a minimalist type of new culture that is being implemented here. And so there's all kinds of, of course, it's again, this generation, it's like statistics say like there's 20% more of transgender that's coming from this generation. Okay. Usually it was like 1%, but in this particular one, that's grown. So, and also um, with this, the polyamory is more of a team thing. And so now I want to go and just, I am not against it. I want to say that. Okay. You're the one who, as I've said these 10 things, you're the adult of your spirit. And how you choose to or decide is more like it. Because I think what comes down to that it is a decision that an adult has to make. Now, I want to talk about later on, we're going to talk about sexual addiction, porn addiction, and the emotional addiction. These are going to be other things we're going to talk about in the show because this is all real. And so when you think of it as polyamory, you could be thinking of, okay, so you want to have sex with a whole bunch of people. All right. I mean, that's legit. But in all my talkings with people, and my young people, that's not necessarily so. You want to be in a relationship, but you may not necessarily have sex with someone. but you have a relationship with them. And so I don't want to put this all down to sex, but um, what I how I would see it, with all due respect, um, I believe it's would be a time in your life. Okay, I would say, you know, probably by your 30s, you might be thinking different. You might not, but I think it's something that really comes across in the 20s. Okay, and there's so much more. When you're in your 20s, and I know I was in mine, so it's a lot of fun going on, and you fall in love a lot, and so I think that everyone has to decide on how they want to experience it. Now let's go back to Wikipedia here. And so we have the definition, but now let's go to the difficulties. Difficulties. Okay, noted that certain conditions are favorable to good experiences, polyamory, but that these differ from the general population. Now, heavy public promotion of polyamory can have the unintended effect of attracting people to it for whom it is not well suited. Unequal power dynamics, such as financial dependence, can also inappropriately influence a person to agree to a polyamorous relationship against their desires. Even in more equal power dynamic relationships, the reluctant partner may feel coerced into a proposed non monogamous arrangement due to the implication that if they refuse, the proposer will pursue other partners anyway, will break off the relationship, or that the one refusing will be accused of intolerance. Polyamorous relationships present practical pitfalls. One common complaint from participants is time management, as more partners means one must divide one's time and attention up between them, leaving less for each. Related is that the complexity of the arrangement can lead to so much effort being spent on the relationship's personal individually needs can be overlooked. So let me just stop there. So the biggest detriment, I think, is time management. All right. Now, because there's a two-edged sword here, you see, because people are close, they're spending more time together. On the other hand, everyone's working and working a lot of hours, and you may not have that time to spend you know in a full-time relationship. And so this is what really takes being an adult of your mind. Okay, being an adult of your mind. And because no matter what, your emotions are going to make a play in this. And so usually in these situations, usually one wants to do it more than the other wants to do it. That would be the whole thing of finding equal people to do it and to not feel like you're forced to do it. And I think this is what happens to a lot of people who get into these relationships. So the relationship that personal individual needs can be overlooked. I'm going to read that again in a second. Let's get back down there. There we are. Okay. Related is that the complexity of the arrangement can lead to so much effort being spent on the relationship that personal individual needs can be overlooked. The strong emphasis on communication can unintentionally marginalize partners who are less articulate. Finally, negotiation negotiating the sometimes complex rules and boundaries of these relationships can be emotionally taxing, as can reconciling situation where one partner goes outside those boundaries. Some therapists argue that polyamory is not good for relationships, saying it's a recipe for hurt, disappointment, jealousies, and breakups. So there's the good side and the bad side, and that's why I see sexual polyamory as um, it's a period of time. It's a period where you might do it for a while. In terms of being a long lasting rest of your life type thing, I think there are exceptions to the rule. Um, but I think that it's, in a positive light that, you understand that. Okay. And that polyamorous basically is an experiment within yourself. And that's experimenting where you are, splitting your emotions, one for a little bit more on the other, a little bit less on the other. Um, and so, sooner or later, it's going to get complicated. People grow up, people change. But people travel, and so it's, while it can be a good thing because it's, maybe something how they say, you have to sow your oats, or, you know, try different things. You know, so at the end of the day, I see it as a certain time frame, and then things change. People's feelings change. Um, what if all of a sudden you decide you want to go travel with one person, you're leaving the other person home? I mean, there's so many ways to do this. So to have, one, two, five, 10, that's a lot of emotional um, complication. Okay. Now, one of the things I know people don't talk about, but I need to talk about it. So here you are, we are a spirit now. Everyone's a spirit. When you have sexual relations with someone, you inherit the energy field of them, and it gets mixed in with yours. And if you have many, many, many people mixed in with this, it can cause some emotional action, okay, within your body. All right. Now, this is not the subject time to. This is not the time to go into this particular subject. So I'm going to leave that for another time here. So I'm going to be talking more about this. I really think that we have to put this all out. We got to put this all out, and just be able to talk about it, understand, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is real. This is happening right now, and I think it's going to be a trend. And then I think, well, I could say it's going to end, but um, when you're doing it, I think it's going to be a trend for each person. Um, and as people get older, I've known people since they were 20 and then now they're 35, you know, how things change. It might increase in your 30s. Okay. So, you know, I support what you think you need to do to become you. And sometimes you have to go, jump out of an airplane, all right? Just to prove that you can do it. So, with that said, um, I'm going to wrap it up here. I just did another little marathon last night. I did 4 hours. You might go back and check on that. I have a number of my shows, and I did some comment on that. So we'll be back tomorrow again. And tomorrow is Wednesday, and so we will be having Hetaru here. We'll be talking about love and the principles of love, and she is someone who comes on the show every Wednesday, and we spend an hour talking about life, chakras, just her whole experience living in the 70s and the 60s, and showing how things relate. So we're going to talk about this subject tomorrow. So thank you all. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. I will be back tomorrow. You have a wonderful evening. Until next time.